Alright, welcome back to my channel, everybody. So what I'm going to be doing today is I've got my hands on 11 catalytic converters, and so what I'm going to try to do is get all the platinum group metals out of these. I've never attempted anything like this, so this is going to be my first time. So this could be a complete failure, or we might get some good precious metal out of there. So I spent exactly $230 obtaining these from various places like Facebook Marketplace. Bought some off of friends, and so what I'm going to see is if I can get more precious metal that's worth more than $230 out of there. Again, this is a very dangerous process. Platinum in solution is one of the most dangerous things on the planet. If you are planning on doing something like this, you need to look up the term platinosis. It's an actual medical condition that's uncurable and irreversible. So you just got to be very careful. So I'm going to start. I'm going to cut all these cats open using my angle grinder, and we'll go from there. You can see, this is what I'm looking for right here. This is a ceramic screen that's been plated in all kinds of platinum group metals. It could be platinum, palladium, and rhodium on here. So this is what we're looking for right here. You want to get everything, all of that filter out, and everything that's off the sides out. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in my scrap metal, pal. Okay, so we got all of our cats cut up. Got all the screens out into our bucket here. I way underestimated cutting all those cats open. That was quite a job. But two of them turned out to have a metal screen instead of a ceramic screen. So this is 9 cats altogether. I had to put those other 2 aside. To leach those out wouldn't work with the metal screen in it. So I just used all the ones that had a ceramic screen. So this is 9 cats. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to get them into our 5-gallon buckets, and I'm going to start the leaching process. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, we're just going to get our material transferred into our 5-gallon buckets. Okay, so we got everything transferred to the buckets. We're going to go ahead and move everything outside before we start the actual leaching process. Okay, so we got everything out back. Alright, so next what we're going to do is I'm just going to cover this with regular tap water. And then we're going to be using some hydrochloric acid. So muriatic acid and hydrochloric acid are one and the same. It's the exact same thing. I'm going to put a gallon in each bucket, and then we're going to top it off. Going to mix in some bleach, just about, I'd say, a cup or so of bleach, and that should start leaching out all of the platinum group metals. Okay, so this should start leaching out all the platinum group metals. I'm probably going to let this sit here for about a month. I'm going to keep adding bleach to it at least every other day and make sure we get them all the platinum group metals leached out of there. All right, so I'll see you in about a month. All right, it's been about 5 days now. This has been leaching out outside into my 5-gallon buckets. I don't really like the way I got it set up out here. So what I did is I went and purchased a large food grade plastic barrel. And so I'm gonna transfer everything from my buckets into this barrel. So what I've done here is this is gonna be creating a lot of chlorine gas. So I don't want it to create a bunch of pressure and bust my barrel. So I rigged it up with an exhaust. So hopefully, if the pressure gets too high, it will just pop that cap off the top of my pipe there. So I'm going to open this up, and what we're looking for is a dark red color that lets me know that platinum group metals are going into solution. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down and open these up.
As you can see, we kind of got a reddish liquid. That's letting me know that these platinum group metals are starting to leach out. It'll probably go a little bit faster once I get it in the barrel. I can mix it around quite a bit better. I want to get everything out of there, also while trying to generate as little waste as possible. So I'm not going to rinse this out too good. Alright, I'm going to give it a little bit more hydrochloric acid. We're also going to add some bleach to it. Alright, once I add this bleach, it's going to start producing some strong chlorine gas. So I'm going to try to get the lid on as soon as possible. As you can see, if the pressure gets too high, this will just pop off.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here and just let this continue to sit for probably about 3 more weeks while I'm adding bleach to it at least every other day. Okay, so it's been about 19 days now since we started this. So I've already gone through about an entire bottle of bleach. So at this point I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to some sodium chlorate. We're gonna use this to try to minimize the waste generated at the end of all this, and this should speed up the process of the leaching. So for the remainder of this month, we're going to be using this instead of bleach.
Okay, first we're going to take a look inside. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Alright, gonna add a little bit of the time. It should react pretty good. I'm going to take my barrel, I'm just going to roll it around now.
Okay, so we'll give this about 10 more days and then we'll start getting it filtered out of there. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been exactly 31 days since we started the leaching process from our platinum group metals here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the process of siphoning all the liquid out into a 5-gallon bucket. I'm going to filter it with 2 coffee filters, and we'll go from there. Okay, so you can see we got our sludge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop all this out and rinse it with hydrochloric acid all individually. It's going to take a little while, but I want to make sure I get every bit of platinum group metals out of there that I possibly can. Okay, I'm back in my garage now. We got all of our solution in our two 5-gallon buckets. So the next step is we just got to get all the platinum group metals out of solution. So how we're going to do that, we're going to go back to our reactivity series of metals. So right now I'm certain all we have is platinum group metals into solution. I removed all the steel casings. So the only thing that should be in solution right now is platinum group metals. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use a highly reactive metal. If you look down here, I'm going to go all the way to zinc. This way I ensure that anything that's in solution, it comes out. So I got me some zinc, some zinc roofing material here, and some little strips I'm going to cut up. But before we do that, so right now this is probably still a really strong acid, and I'm going to try to neutralize it a little bit. There has to be some free acid still left in order for the zinc to swap places with the platinum group metals in the solution. However, if I don't knock it down a little bit, then as soon as the platinum group metals come out of solution, they will just go right back into solution and end up using up a lot of zinc to get it all out of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to test this first, see what we're looking at, how acidic it is right now, and then start neutralizing it, and then we'll get it filtered out again. I'm going to filter it one more time and put it in my beakers. I'm going to also do the reaction in my beakers because I know from doing it from cementing silver, the solution tends to get really hot. So I don't want to do it in my 5-gallon bucket. So I might have to do it just in batches. It's going to take a little while, but that's all right. I want to do this right and see how much platinum I get out of there. All right, so let's test out our liquid right now.
So as you can see, looks like we're at about a 0.5. So we're still at an extremely strong acid state right now. So I'm going to try to knock it down to at least about a 4 or 5 before we start adding the zinc. Alright, so what we got is some sodium carbonate, also known as pH+. We're just going to start adding some of this to it.
Okay, so while we wait on this one to continue filtering, I'm going to go ahead and do a Spanish chloride test. you can see, definitely getting some color there. Judging by the bottle, looking like it's pretty heavy on palladium, which is good news. I see some trace of platinum in there, but I see a lot of palladium. So palladium is significantly worth more than platinum. One of the problems I'm going to run into is my solution here is heavily saturated. So the platinum group metals are going to come out to an extremely fine powder. It's going to be kind of hard to work with, but that's okay, as long as we get them all out of there.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start adding my zinc in there now. Should see a reaction start pretty much immediately. You see right there, it's already going. I'm going to hold up. I want to make sure I don't get a boil over here. You can see some black particles forming up there. That should be our platinum group metals coming out of solution.
Notice all that black. It should be our platinum group metals sticking to the zinc. Okay, so it's the next day, so I'll let this sit overnight. As you can see, the reaction has totally stopped. We still got quite a bit of zinc in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to siphon out all the liquid and get all of the remaining zinc out and use that to cement out the platinum group metals in our next batch here. Okay, I'm going to start reaching in and getting some of this remaining zinc out.
You can see our zinc is covered in this black powder. That should all be platinum group metals sticking to the zinc. I'm going to kind of very slowly pour this off. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the remaining contents in here into the smaller one. And we're going to try to get the remaining zinc out of there with hydrochloric acid. Okay, I got a fresh batch here. We go ahead and add the old zinc to it. Probably going to get a delayed reaction because it's also coated in platinum group metals. So I'll have to add a little bit of fresh zinc to it to get the reaction going. Alright, got some fresh zinc. We're going to add it. You can see the reaction's already started. I'm going to go ahead and add some fresh zinc. Alright, I'm going to let this sit for another day and do it again. By the looks of things, I'll probably end up having to do this at least 2 more times. Possibly even 3 though. Alright. Okay, so if you notice, I've got more beakers and flask here full of liquid. So when I poured off the last batch, I looked into the bucket and I noticed there was still a lot of color and I could see some extremely fine particulate in there. And so I went ahead and poured it back into my flask and a little bit into this little beaker here. And the reason is I realized it still had its color because there's still platinum group metals in the solution. So I poured it back. I'm going to keep the reaction going. I added a little bit more hydrochloric acid and put in a little bit more zinc. And my goal is to get this to clear up. Now I've gotten this one and this one to clear up pretty good. The other 2 are still pretty dark. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and siphon these 2 out and just leaving the platinum group metals. And then I'm going to redistribute these into the jars or to the into the beakers and do the process over again until I get a nice clear liquid on top. Also, whenever I siphon it out, I'm going to catch it in a filter with 1 coffee filter. Now, this 1 coffee filter will in no way catch all of the fine particles that are going to go through it, but it will catch some. So the problem I ran into is just this was so saturated that the particles are so fine that they stay in suspension. So I've left these actually here for 2 days trying to see if they would all fall down to the bottom. Looks like these 2 have. These 2, we still got a little bit in solution. So like I said, this is going to be very time consuming. I'm still in my first bucket, and after we get all these down, I got an entire another bucket to do. So I probably won't film the second bucket. It's going to be the exact same process as this. This video is getting a little long, so I just want to show you how I'm going to do everything from this point on. So if you take a look here, I'm going to put still got some fumes coming out of these beakers. I'm going to put my respirator on. I don't know if you can see, if you see how clear that is. You can see we got platinum group metals settling out to the bottom of this. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm probably just going to go ahead and pour it, because that all looks pretty clear up there. It looks like we got a good settling of platinum group metals down here. You can see one little beaker got quite a bit of platinum group metals. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and then I'm going to combine and just keep all the platinum group metals into this beaker. Alright, we're going to get the rest of the platinum group metals poured in here. Okay, so what I'll do is every day, I come out here and this is all settled to the bottom, I'll pour off the liquid and just keep adding to it. So for right now, I'm going to just go ahead and divide this amongst my empty beakers, hit it with some hydrochloric acid, put a little bit more zinc in it, keep the process going until it's completely clear like the other ones. My filter's already collected a little bit of platinum group metals in there. I'm going to try to waste as little as possible, because I'm probably not going to be saving all this waste. It's just too much of it. So I'll be getting rid of it probably immediately after this. So I want to get as much platinum group metals out of this as possible. So I'm going to do it slow and right. Okay, I've got everything divided back up. We're going to go ahead and add some hydrochloric acid to everything and put some more zinc in it. Go ahead and turn the fume hood on. just going to store this in the fume hood. Alright.
Okay, as you can see, the reaction has already started up again. We're gonna keep this up until they're all clear. Tomorrow, we'll do it all over again. Okay, it's the next day. Looks like some of these have cleared up, but so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pour some of this stuff out and see if we can get started on our second bucket today. It looks like we might have to go another day. The big one still seems kind of dark. If it's too dark, then I'm gonna let it go another day. But all right, let's get started.
All right, this is our collection so far. Looks like we've got a pretty good bit of precious metals already. It's looking pretty good. Again, I'm going to be filtering out all this waste into one filter so I can collect it all off the filter later. You gotta remember, the one thing you do not want to do is disturb this too much. Otherwise, we'll be having to let it sit another day. This one is not very clear. Looks like I might need to set this one another day. We'll go ahead and pour this one out. From this one, I wasn't expecting there to be too much, because remember, this was just the top half of this one, so most of that should have settled to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and combine this with my others here. This one still did not clear up very well. Okay, looks like we're going to have to go another day with this. So, I'm going to go ahead and divide these up. And see if we can't get them to clear up in one more day.
Okay, I got everything going in my fume hood again. So what I'm going to do, it was basically clear, but it wasn't as clear as I wanted it to be. So I think that tomorrow, regardless, we're going to go ahead and pour it out and move on to our second bucket. However, I do think that after another day, this is going to be pretty clear. Okay, so it's the next day. I've already made the decision. I'm going to go ahead and pour off whatever's left in here and get started on my second bucket. It's just taking too long, so what I'm going to do is just let everything that's left that still has color settle in the 5-gallon bucket. I'm going to throw a few pieces of zinc in there, and just hopefully by the time I'm done with the second bucket, that'll all be settled out, and I'll get the platinum group metals out of there too. I'm going to go ahead and get started pouring everything out. Like I said, I'm probably going to skip filming the second bucket. It's the exact same process that I did with the first bucket. So just to save some video space, I'm just going to skip it. And after that, we'll start refining. All right. Here's what we got so far. Got a thin layer of PGMs at the bottom down there.
Big guy is still not very clear. We're going to go ahead and press though.
Okay, so we got all of our platinum group metals cemented out, and I've got them all combined into this beaker right here. So I let this sit overnight after I was done, and I got it sitting on 2 speaker magnets. I left it sit overnight on these 2 magnets. So platinum group metals are not magnetic, however they are paramagnetic, which means they are drawn to magnets very weakly. So it was just kind of a theory of mine, but I let it sit and it seemed like it did a pretty good job. I've got all of my platinum group metals sitting at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it down there. The the liquid cleared up pretty good, and we got quite a bit of platinum group metal sitting down there. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna siphon all this out into a bucket, get as much of that liquid out of there as possible, and then I'm going to put the platinum group metals back into solution and re-cement them out again with zinc. So why am I going to do that is because right now this platinum group metals are so fine that if I disturb this at all, I'm going to have to let it sit for an entire another day, and I have to get these platinum group metals rinsed off and get all the zinc and all the acid off of them. So to do that like it is, it would take me probably a week, because it would just get suspended in the liquid, and I'd have to keep letting it sit overnight to let it all fall back down. So what I'm going to do is re-cement it out. Whenever it's a more concentrated solution, like it's going to be, then it will cement out a lot bigger and fluffier. And that way I can just keep rinsing it out, and then it should settle pretty quickly. And it'll save me a whole lot of time. So I'm going to go ahead and start siphoning this stuff out, and we'll get started.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill our tube up with water. Alright, we're going to start siphoning out now. Now the key here is to not disturb any of the platinum group metals on the bottom down there. It's going to be kind of a slow process. Okay, here's what we got. That's a pretty good bit of platinum group metals down there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get this put back into solution and get it cemented back out. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to put it on my stirrer. I'm going to get this stirring up really good, put some hydrochloric acid on. And I'm going to mix in some 12% hydrogen peroxide. It's a little bit stronger than most of the household stuff. We're going to get these platinum group metals dissolved. So as you can see right here, all those platinum group metals are now resuspended. I would have to let this sit an entire another day to get them to fall back down. You can see a little bit of a reaction happening because there's still some zinc mixed in with those platinum group metals. So that's our goal here, is to get all that out and get some nice fluffy platinum group metals re-cemented back out. Another stir bar. Alright, as you might can see, we got a pretty good stir going. Alright, going to slowly start adding some hydrogen peroxide. Gonna turn the heat up too. Again, I'm gonna try to keep this as concentrated as I possibly can. So we're gonna add a little bit more 12% hydrogen peroxide. Alright, so I just want to make sure I get it all dissolved. I still see a little bit floating around in there.
Okay, I've had this cooking now for about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do, it looks like I got everything dissolved. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off the heat and let this cool down. We'll get it filtered out and re-cement all the platinum group metals back out.
It's extremely hot right now. I'm just going to let it cool on the stirrer.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and add a couple of ice cubes to our solution, help it cool down. Now I can see I had some precipitate down here. I was kind of expecting that, but it should be some kind of zinc. I'm not really sure what it is, but we'll get that filtered out before we cement it out again.
Alright. As you can see, we got everything dissolved. Not sure if you can see that, but we got a little bit of precipitate at the bottom down there. We'll get it filtered out. Should be some kind of zinc, but I'm not really sure. We're going to get it out of there. I want to be really careful with that solution. Really dangerous stuff right here. Alright, we'll get our spur bar out of here. Okay, we got it all filtered out. I'll go ahead and transfer it back into my beaker. We're going to start adding some zinc to it. Okay, we're going to give it another Spanish chloride test. You see that dark color? Looks like we got dark brown and an orange. It shows me our solution is high in platinum and palladium. That's good news. I'm going to cut up some strips of zinc. We're going to go ahead and add this to it. This shouldn't really take too long. Take it over to the fume hood. As you can tell, we got a very vigorous reaction with that. It's going to keep adding zinc until it stops heating it up.
Alright, so you can see we got our stuff settled out. It cleared up very nicely. You can see all of our PGMs down there at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start pouring this out, and we're going to start rinsing this stuff off. Start off with some hydrochloric acid just in case we got any more zinc sitting down there. Alright, you see we got a little bit of a reaction, but not much. So it should not take too long for this to settle. And then I'll start hitting it with some water, just regular old tap water. Okay, it's only been about 3 or 4 minutes now, and this is already pretty much settled out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and keep pouring it off and just washing it out. I'm gonna get it transferred into our pre-weighted beaker, dry it off, and see how much platinum group metals we got. Alright, I'm going to take one of our pH strips. We're going to see how acidic this is right now. As you can see, we're still extremely acidic. I'd say about a 1.5. Okay, I've washed it about 10 times. Looks like we're finally at close to neutral. Pretty close, not quite, but that should do. Alright, I got it on extremely low heat, and we're just gonna let this heat up until it dries off. Alright, I got my platinum group metals down to a nice fine powder. It's completely bone dry, so I'm actually pretty stoked that I've got it to this point so far. So as you can see, it's a nice powder down there. What I'm going to do is I've already pre-weighed out my beaker, so I'm going to try to weigh this out real quick. See if I can estimate how many grams of platinum group metals I'm going to end up with. Alright, showing 308 grams. So that's approximately 15 grams. So we subtract 308, subtract 293 grams. So that's 15 grams. 15 grams of platinum group metals. Alright, so my next step, I'm going to redissolve this using hydrochloric acid and hydrogen peroxide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the precipitate method to try to precipitate out each individual metal individually. So we're going to start off with platinum, then I'm going to precipitate out the palladium, and then I'm also going to go for the rhodium at the end. So I've decided I'm going to film it all the way through. If I succeed or fail, either way. So I am going to try to get the rhodium. I have not found too many things online about how to get the rhodium. So what I'm going to do is just try to precipitate that out at the very end using potassium hydroxide, which should precipitate out anything that's left in solution. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my platinum. Once I get all these metals out, I'm going to try to refine them quickly individually, and then try to get them all melted up. Alright, well, let's get started.
About 250 ml. I'm going to take it over and get it on my stirrer and the heat. And I start adding some hydrogen peroxide. Alright, we got our stir bar. Go ahead and get this stirring. Alright, gonna start adding our 12% hydrogen peroxide, get this dissolved up. Gotta be really careful. You can see right there it bubbled up pretty good. Gonna add this nice and slow. Okay, we're just gonna have to do this the old slow way.
Okay, so while I wait for the rest of that to filter out, I'm going to go ahead and mix up my solution. I got about 200 milliliters of distilled water. What we're going to do, we're going to make a dilute solution using ammonium chloride. Now, using this ammonium chloride solution, that's going to precipitate out all the platinum out of solution. Now in doing that, the platinum salt that we get will be able to be dissolved in just plain water. So we're also going to have to make a ammonium chloride solution to be able to rinse out our next filtering process. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my container right here that's got distilled water in it, and I'm also going to make a solution with ammonium chloride in it also. In order to get the palladium out on the next step, the solution's got to be heavy with ammonium chloride. So we're going to make a little bit more than we probably need to get all the platinum out, but that should set us up good for getting the palladium out on the next step.
Okay, the filtering is done. We'll go ahead and take this out. Again, I want to use very little reps on this. And get this poured into this clean beaker. I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this good. Alright, so we can go ahead and add our ammonium chloride. This is going to precipitate out all the platinum salt. See how cold that ammonium turned my glass here. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but we got a little bit of platinum salt forming at the bottom down here. So we go ahead and set up to get this filtered out, get all the platinum out of there. Okay, I've let it sit a couple minutes. You can see a nice layer of platinum formed down here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get it filtered out and recover our platinum.
Okay, while we wait for that to filter out, I'm going to go ahead and start setting up for our palladium. So how we're going to get our palladium out of there I'm going to precipitate it using chlorine gas. So I'm going to bubble some chlorine gas into what's left of the solution here, and that should precipitate out the palladium. So what I got here is just a regular old chlorine tablet, just like you throw in the swimming pool. Gonna crush it up. Alright, I think it's quite tougher than I thought.
I think it's a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so what we're going to rig up here, so we got our chlorine powder. So what we're going to do, we're going to pour a little bit of hydrochloric acid into our separator. It's going to drain down, drip into our chlorine powder here. And I'm going to put a hose that's going to run from the gas generator into our palladium solution.
What that's going to do, it's going to bubble chlorine through the solution and then precipitate out the palladium.
Alright.
Just need to wait to get the other stuff done filtering, and we'll get started with the palladium. Alright, we got our last bit of platinum. See that platinum mud down there, the orange? Looks pretty cool. Still going to try to use as little rinse as possible. Keep this solution very concentrated. Alright, this is our platinum. It's about 99% pure platinum. Should be a couple grams down there. Alright, let's get it all poured over. Okay, so we got our gas generator here. We got our glass tube attached to the other end of the hose. I got some ice in a dish here. I'm going to try to keep this cool. What I'm going to do, pour a little bit of water. Try to keep the temperature uniform. Take our tube, stick it in. Alright, so we're pretty much ready to go. We got our separator up here full of hydrochloric acid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start the generator and just get it to a drop. Alright, should start seeing a drop here soon, and right away. See, it starts bubbling right away. Might should use another beaker, a bigger one. That's okay. Slow the generator down, it was going a little too fast. Start to see the palladium come out as a reddish powder after a few minutes. Okay, it's been going now for probably close to 7-8 minutes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shut it off and take a look and see if I precipitate, see if there's anything else we need to do to it. Come up here, go ahead and shut it off.
Then we're going to get our glass tube out of there. Alright, we're just going to let this settle for a few minutes. Okay, I've let it sit for about 5 minutes, so I'm going to take it out and take a look at it.
That is exactly what I was looking for. As you can see on the bottom, we got a ton of palladium down there. And I was looking for that color green. That lets me know that we got it all out of the solution. So I'm pretty stoked about this. There's a ton of palladium down there. And so we're gonna get this filtered out and move on to the next step. So honestly, I'm just shocked at how well that went. I went pretty quick. I got my nice green color, just what I was looking for. All right, so I'm going to very patiently get this filtered out again. This is probably going to take a couple hours, but we're going to do it right. After that, we're going to proceed to the rhodium. All right, let's start filtering. Okay, so we got our palladium set aside. I'm gonna let that keep filtering out. All right, so next I'm gonna go for the rhodium. All right, so the article I read says that potassium hydroxide should neutralize and precipitate any remaining metals out. So I'm expecting whatever I do get, it'll be about 95% purity because I suspect there still is a little bit of platinum and palladium in here. But I'm going to give this a shot. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea if I'm going to get anything or not. So I'm just going to give it a shot and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm going to start with about a little over 100 milliliters and just pour it in and see what happens. I can see some black stuff coming up. Definitely getting something precipitating out. Wow, look at that. That was beautiful. Probably got a little bit of a blue color coming out in there. Wow. That is very interesting. I'm going to let that settle and see what it looks like. I think my beaker is extremely hot right now, so I think I do have something precipitating out. I can see something forming on the bottom down there.
I'm going to show you my palladium. I got significantly more palladium out of there than I did platinum. So it looks like those catalytic converters are mostly made up of palladium. Now look at that, man. That is beautiful. I'm going to filter that out and see what I get. I do see something forming down at the bottom. Hopefully that's rhodium. Okay, I've let it set for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and start filtering it out. It's a beautiful color. almost purple. Okay, we got our rhodium getting filtered out right now. So I looked at the bottom, there's definitely some precipitate down there. So it looks like we're gonna end up with a little bit of rhodium. So that's good news. So right now we got our palladium. We got quite a bit. Probably about 5 grams, 5 or so grams, maybe a little bit more. And we got our platinum. And hopefully get 2 or 3 grams out of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and press on with the next step. So what we're gonna do now is I finally bought a oxyacetylene torch. That's the only thing that's gonna get the job done. So we'll talk a little bit about the melting points here. So just to give you some perspective, the melting point of steel is about 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Palladium is around 2,900 degrees Fahrenheit. Platinum is around 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit. And rhodium is about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, around 800 degrees more to melt than steel. So I am hoping this is the hottest gas on the planet. So I'm hoping this does the job. These also need to be calcined first. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and throw it in my crucible and hit it with a propane torch and just burn off any impurities. The propane torch will come nowhere close to being able to melt the metal, but at least it'll get all the impurities and the paper and all that burned away before we actually go for the melt. All right, I'm gonna start with the palladium. It has the lowest melting point of the 3, and I'm gonna go ahead and start getting it calcined. We got quite a bit of palladium in here. That's a good thing.
Look at that. Not too bad for my first melt. Nice little button of palladium. Right. That's a little bead of platinum there. Alright, next up, we're going to get that rhodium. Okay, we got the rhodium in the crucible. I'm going to go ahead and get this calcined now. And then it's the moment of truth. See if we can't melt this or not. Okay, here we go. Woo! We got it.
Okay, welcome to the conclusion of my video. You can see we got all of them. A little bit of everything out of that, so I'm pretty stoked. So I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to see how well I did. So I spent $230 on the catalytic converters. If I had to guess, probably at least $100 worth of chemicals and a whole lot of time. But so let's get a weight on these. I've got the spot prices written down. We'll see how much each one's worth. Platinum group metals for some reason went down quite a bit since the last time I checked. Alright, so first we're going to go with our palladium. We're going to see how much this weighs. 3.71 grams. Spot price of palladium right now is $61.49. So let's see how much that's worth. Okay, so my palladium right now is worth $228.12. So just this one pretty much paid for the catalytic converters. So let's see what else we got here. Alright, we got our platinum. Weighs 0.6 grams. Spot price of platinum right now is $30.88. So my platinum is worth $18. So not a huge score there, but $18.52. And now on the rhodium. So not sure if I showed it to you yet. This one came out with kind of an odd color. So when it came out, I soaked it in some concentrated nitric acid.
and just some of the flux came off. So I'm sure of it, it's not palladium or copper or anything like that, because the nitric acid would have completely dissolved it away. I'm not sure what's going on with the color there, but I'm pretty sure that's rhodium. It was extremely hard to melt and took me a while with that oxyacetylene torch. All right, so we're gonna get a weight on this. I got 0.37 grams. Spot price of rhodium right now is $374.56 a gram. So let's see, 0.56 times 0.37. So this piece of rhodium right here is worth $138.58. Okay, let's add them all together. Plus so all together, it came out with $385.22. So if I spent $330 on the process, came out with about a $55 profit. So not a huge score, especially considering the amount of time it took for me to do this. I probably could have got this done a little bit quicker, but however, I do have a full-time job, and so that I was only able to do this in my spare time. So yeah, so I probably won't be doing this too much because it's just really not worth the risk to your health. It's extremely dangerous, and that's some really toxic stuff when dealing with platinum group metals in solution. So what I'll probably do is just keep that barrel, and if I ever come across any more catalytic converters, I'll probably just cut them up and just keep them in the barrel until maybe in a couple of years I decide I want to do it again. But I know it's been a long video. I appreciate you watching it all the way through, and thanks again.